My name is Ava Mitchell, and I've learned to wear confidence like a second skin. On the surface, everything about me screams composure. My crisp cream blouse, the subtle nude lipstick that's become my signature, the quiet hum of my office where sunlight spills across polished oak shelves. From the street below, people see me as a woman who has it all together. And maybe I do now. But today, my phone won't stop buzzing. And the name lighting up the screen makes my stomach tighten. Claire, my cousin. The girl who once smiled in my face and then walked away with the gift that was meant for me. A gift that could have changed my life, should have changed my life. I press my manicured nail against the screen, watching it vibrate against my desk, the sound oddly louder than it should be. My assistant knocks gently on the door, sliding in a folder, but I can barely focus. Because this call? It isn't just a call. It's the past knocking on my carefully built world. I inhale, tasting the faint bitterness of the coffee cooling beside me, and glance at the framed photo of my grandmother on the wall. Her eyes remind me, don't forget where you came from. I let the phone ring out. Because before I answer, I need to remember who I am now and what it took to get here. I was 19 the day it happened. Young, uncertain, still figuring out who I was supposed to be in a world that already felt like it had judged me. It was my birthday, and for the first time in years, my grandmother had handed me a carefully wrapped box. Not big, not flashy, just a square package tied with a ribbon. She smiled, her silver hair pulled into its usual bun, and whispered, "Ava, this isn't just a gift. It's a seed. What you do with it will show the world who you are." My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside was an envelope, a small check, and a handwritten note, giving me the chance to invest in something I believed in. My grandmother wanted me to have a start, a way to build the independence she always said I deserved. But before I could even process it, my cousin Claire swooped in. We'd grown up side by side, same schools, same holidays, same whispered comparisons. She was the golden child, the one who always knew how to charm a room. "Wow," she said, her manicured fingers snatching the envelope from my lap. "Grandma, you know I've been planning that boutique idea for ages. This would help me so much." I froze. My throat burned, words lodging like stones. I looked at my grandmother, waiting for her to correct Claire, to hand the gift back to me. But she just sighed, maybe too tired to argue, maybe thinking it was all the same. And just like that, it was gone. My chance. My seed. I remember the sting in my palms from clutching my fists too tight. The way my voice cracked when I tried to speak. That was for me. Claire only smiled sweetly. "We'll both benefit, Ava. Don't worry." But I knew better. She wasn't thinking of me at all. That night, lying awake, I held onto my grandmother's note, the only piece Claire hadn't cared to keep. "Don't let anyone write your story for you. Plant your own seed." I pressed those words to my chest, tears soaking the paper. My heart was breaking, yes, but somewhere inside, a different fire sparked. If Claire had taken what was mine, then I would create something she could never steal. That was the night I decided. I wouldn't wait for someone else to hand me my future. I would build it, piece by piece, on my own terms. The morning after Claire took my gift, I woke up with swollen eyes and a pounding head. But something inside me had shifted. I couldn't stop thinking about my grandmother's words. Plant your own seed. So I started small. I took a job at a local cafe, the kind where the smell of roasted beans clung to your hair and your shoes stuck slightly to the floor after a long shift. Most people saw it as temporary work. For me, it was a training ground. I studied the way customers reacted to different pastries, the way they lingered over certain coffees. I scribbled notes on napkins during breaks, my mind spinning with ideas I didn't dare tell anyone. One afternoon, an older woman named Margaret Lewis noticed me sketching in the corner during my lunch. She was a retired business owner, sharp-eyed with a warmth that reminded me of my grandmother. "You've got the look of someone with a plan," she said, sliding into the booth across from me. I laughed nervously. "More like a dream I don't know how to reach." Margaret tilted her head. "Dreams are just plans without blueprints. Show me yours." That was the beginning. Margaret became my mentor. She didn't hand me money or shortcuts. Instead, she gave me guidance and the harsh truth when I needed it. She taught me how to budget every dollar, how to negotiate without shrinking, how to read people's motives before they spoke. The years that followed were anything but easy. I worked double shifts, took night classes in business management, and lived off instant noodles more times than I care to admit. There were nights I sat at my tiny kitchen table with bills spread out, my hands shaking as I wondered if I was kidding myself. But then little victories started coming. The first time a vendor trusted me with a bulk order. The first time I earned enough to pay a bill early instead of late. The first time a customer returned, not just because they liked the product, but because they liked me. Every milestone felt like water to a seed I'd been nurturing in secret. And that secret became my shield. I kept my progress hidden from my family, especially Claire. On social media, I posted nothing but vague updates, sunset photos, an occasional book recommendation. When relatives asked what I was doing, I shrugged. Just working here and there. In reality, I was slowly building the foundation of something bigger. A business. A vision. A future that no one could claim but me. Years passed, and the girl who once cried over a stolen gift hardened into a woman who created her own opportunities. I didn't need Claire's stolen seed anymore, because I had grown an entire forest. But I also knew, deep down, that one day our paths would cross again. And when that moment came, I wouldn't be the girl with trembling hands and a broken voice. I would be the woman who owned the very ground she stood on. It happened on an ordinary Thursday, though I should have known by then that life loves to deliver its biggest shocks on the most uneventful days. I was in my office, perched on the mezzanine level of the store I had spent years building. From above, I could see the carefully arranged displays, locally crafted candles, shelves of artisanal foods, racks of clothing curated with care. Every corner told a story. Every detail bore my fingerprint. My name wasn't splashed across the sign outside, but the ownership papers in my desk drawer carried it boldly. Ava Mitchell, owner. The bell above the door chimed. I barely glanced up until I heard the voice. Ava. I froze. It was Claire. She looked almost the same, just a little older, a little wearier, like the shine she'd once carried so effortlessly had dulled. She stood there with two of my aunts trailing behind her, their eyes scanning the store in admiration. This place is beautiful, one of them whispered. I walked down the stairs slowly, heels clicking against the polished wood. My blouse hugged me perfectly, my hair pinned in a sleek bun. I could feel their eyes on me, trying to match the girl they remembered with the woman in front of them. Claire smiled tightly. I didn't know you worked here. The way she said it, worked here, nearly made me laugh. I let the silence stretch, watching her shift uncomfortably. I don't work here, I finally said, voice calm, steady. I own it. The air snapped like a rubber band. My aunts exchanged stunned glances. Claire blinked rapidly, as though she hadn't heard me right. You what? She stammered. I gestured around us, the soft lighting glinting off carefully placed displays. This is mine. Every shelf, every product, every decision mine. Her mouth opened and closed, like a fish gasping for water. But how? When? I almost pitied her then, almost. Because in that moment, she realized the girl she had dismissed, the cousin whose gift she had stolen, had not only survived but flourished. I led them toward my office, letting them trail behind me. The walls were lined with framed certificates, press features, and small tokens of gratitude from local suppliers I had helped grow. At the center of it all, on my desk, was my grandmother's note, framed under glass. Claire's eyes locked on it. Her lips parted, recognition flickering in her expression. She remembered. She had to. I thought, she whispered. I thought you gave up after. I cut her off with a raised hand. You thought I'd stay small. You thought I'd settle for scraps. But while you were spending what was never yours, I was building. Quietly. Patiently. The silence was thick, heavy with things unsaid. My aunts shifted awkwardly, clearly torn between pride and discomfort. Claire finally dropped her gaze. I didn't know. No, I said firmly. You didn't care to know. I let the weight of that hang in the air before softening my tone. But now you do. And you're standing in it. The seed you tried to take from me, I planted my own. And it grew bigger than you could have imagined. Her face flushed crimson, a cocktail of shame, disbelief, and something else, envy. For the first time in years, I wasn't the one shrinking in her shadow. She was standing in mine. Claire sat stiffly in the chair across from me, her manicured nails tapping nervously against her handbag. My aunts lingered nearby, eyes darting between us like spectators at a tennis match, unsure which side they should cheer for. For years, I had imagined this scene. And now that it was here, I didn't feel the rage I thought I would. Instead, I felt steady, grounded, powerful in a way that didn't need shouting. Claire finally broke the silence. Ava, I know we've had our differences, but I've fallen on hard times. The boutique. She swallowed hard, shame flickering across her face. It didn't last. I thought maybe you could help me. Give me a second chance. The irony nearly made me laugh. She had stolen my first chance, and now she wanted me to hand her another. I leaned back, fingers grazing the framed note on my desk. Plant your own seed. You want help? I asked softly. Then here are my conditions. Her eyes flickered with hope. Too soon. First, I continued, you take responsibility. No excuses, no sugarcoating. You admit what you did, not just to me but to our family. Everyone deserves to know the truth. Claire's face tightened, her pride already bristling. But I didn't stop. Second, you work. Not at some boutique built on borrowed money, but here. On the floor. Stocking shelves, greeting customers, mopping floors if that's what's needed. No shortcuts. No special treatment. Her lips parted in horror. You want me to be an employee? Yes, I said firmly. Because if you ever want to stand on your own again, you need to learn the ground first. My aunts exchanged wide-eyed glances. They weren't used to hearing me speak this way, calm, decisive, unwavering. And third, I said, leaning forward, my voice steady, you let go of the idea that you're entitled to anyone else's path. If you want something, you'll have to earn it yourself. No more taking what doesn't belong to you. The silence stretched. I could see the war inside her, the desperate need for help battling her ego, her old habit of entitlement. Finally, Claire's shoulders slumped. If I do this, you'll give me a chance? I'll give you the space to earn one. I corrected. That's all any of us get. Her eyes glistened, though whether with humiliation or realization, I couldn't tell. My aunts still looked stunned, but I could see a flicker of something else in them too, respect. For the first time, the family dynamic had shifted. I wasn't the overlooked cousin anymore. I was the one setting the terms. And the best part? I wasn't doing it out of spite. I was doing it because I had grown enough to know that real power isn't in revenge. It's in teaching someone else the lesson you had to fight to learn. The days that followed were strange at first. Seeing Claire in my store, not as a customer or competitor, but as an employee, stirred feelings I hadn't expected. Sometimes, I caught her glaring at the mop in her hands, her pride stinging. Other times, I saw flickers of humility when she carefully folded sweaters, or when she smiled at a customer and actually meant it. My aunts came back often, partly to check in, but I knew the truth. They wanted to see if I'd really hold firm. And I did. Every condition I'd laid out remained non-negotiable. For once, I wasn't bending myself to fit anyone else's comfort. And slowly, something shifted. Claire stopped fighting the small tasks. She began asking questions about suppliers, about margins, about customer retention. It wasn't easy for her to swallow her pride, but I could see the cracks forming, letting in something new, growth. One night, long after closing, I stayed behind to balance the books. Claire lingered too, her hands still smelling faintly of lemon cleaner. She glanced at the framed note on my desk. That was really meant for you, wasn't it? She asked quietly. I looked at her. For years, I had craved those words, admission, validation, truth. Now, hearing them, I didn't feel vindicated. I felt free. Yes, I said simply. She nodded, no excuses this time, just silence. And in that silence, I felt the weight of old wounds begin to lift. Later, walking home under the soft glow of streetlights, I thought about my grandmother. Her belief in me, her words that had carried me through nights of doubt. I slipped a hand into my coat pocket, feeling the corner of a small card I always carried. The original note, the ink faded but still legible. Don't let anyone write your story for you. Plant your own seed. I smiled to myself, tears pricking my eyes, not from pain but from gratitude. Because she had been right. Claire had tried to steal my gift, but in the end, she gave me something greater, the fire to build my own path. I stopped outside the glowing storefront, my name shining proudly on the paperwork inside. My store. My life. My story. And with a deep breath, I whispered the words that had carried me from betrayal to triumph. I planted my own seed, and now I own the garden.